What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Generational Sports. Happy to be here as always, and joined as always by my guy Josh to the right. I always do this wrong because the camera is inverse, but whatever. Joined by Josh as always, and our new member. Until we get other things rolling. CJ, my guy, what's going on to the both of you? And of course, well, I can't even start the program, as everybody knows, until I know how everybody's doing. So, CJ, how about we start with you? How you doing on this fine Monday? Weekend good? Life good? How are you hanging?
And just all is well. All is well, man. Just happy to be on here with you guys. Thank you guys for having me again. Always a pleasure. Talk sports with my two brothers. So, yeah, the weekend was good. The weekend was really good. Looking forward to this week coming up. Good way to start it.
Josh, what's going on over there?
It's actually, I don't know where you guys are at. Winter for us was kind of delayed. It's been in like the 50s for the past 2 weeks, but today it was in the teens. Not a fan of that. But then I had some Culver's for lunch, so that was
Okay.
it was a nice day.
Yeah, it's like 50 over here. I was just telling my guy, my boy, I was like, it feels like spring in January. But I know upstate in Buffalo, they got snow. So
I didn't get no snow, and I don't know
word?
if you can really consider me upstate, but
yeah. In Metro North, that's not really.
nah. But I mean, it was like 40 here, which for now was fine. Like I just had to go take down the garbages like an hour ago. I walked out there in shorts. I said, "Damn, why does it feel kind of nice outside?" I said, "Okay."
Yeah, calm Pico, brother.
I mean, bro, CJ, you know this. I feel like we're not like built different in New York, but like compared to some other places, because like it'll be like 45, 50 out sometimes. Like I remember when I was in college and stuff. People walking around short sleeves, shorts, like it's the summer. You go 50 in Florida, they got that's when they break out the puffers.
Yeah, their mindset is different than ours, man.
You got to be built. And you know what? Maybe you do got to be built different. You know what I mean? Todd showing love is always waiting all day for Monday nights. Hey, we accept that, and we appreciate it as always. Always fun being here. And hey, listen, while you are here, all I'm saying is, if I could find the thing real quick, I'm kind of stalling right now. Hold on, still can't find it. You should like and sub. Make sure you like and subscribe to Down Reviews. Make sure you like and subscribe to Generator Sports. Just listen, you can see what everybody's doing over here. We got the Tuesday show. We got CJ, Michael, and Nick. They brought over, their basketball show over here, so they're doing big things. Me and Conch do some sports stuff as well on Wednesdays. Listen, we got a full lineup, a bacchanal, some would say, of stuff going on. So make sure you check out. Down reviews and everything that we're doing over here. The boys are putting out content on the daily, shorts, clips, full shows like this, talking about everything. So make sure you like and sub. And hey, also, while we're doing promos, I'm just saying you should use code Gen Z on Underdog Fantasy and double your first deposit up to $100. Now, listen, I hope everybody has better luck than me because I have yet to win. Shout out to the people at Underdog Fantasy who gave us, a little money to play around with. But man, it's a good thing they did because I am a big fat loser at the moment. But hey, I'm gonna win, and when I do, nobody's gonna hear the end of it. Nobody. I'm gonna make sure everybody knew I win for weeks. I'm gonna come on here.
I did the draft for the Philly San Francisco game. And I thought I hit out the park. I had Miles Sanders and I had CMC. I was like, oh, no chance I'm losing this. But then all the people up top also had Boston Scott. Like, how did you know Boston Scott was going to score a touchdown? Like, how did you just draft him? It was crazy.
Blind luck. Don't worry, Josh. Blind luck. They didn't even know what they were actually doing. All right, listen. We're going to get into all the football stuff, of course, because that's what everybody mostly is here for. I mean, besides our wonderful, connection and the lovely things that we do on this program, a lot of NFL stuff. Obviously, the Super Bowl is around the corner, just 2 weeks away now. Football season flew by. It's disgusting every single year. We wait all year for football season. Well, I mean, I guess if you're not a fan of other sports. I mean, I got baseball to really hold me over.
You got USFL in April, right?
I'm good. It's
Facts.
never been better.
USFL in April.
I'm good.
You never
You
know.
guys are gonna watch the USFL?
Yo, Reggie
I
White
watch
came from the
football. If
USFL.
football's on,
bro.
I watch. Football's on, I watch.
Yeah, Reggie White came from that league, bro.
See, Josh, if the NFL's on, I'll watch it. That's how football as a whole.
You got to think the NFL started somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Well, guess what? I was not there at the beginning, and thank God, because maybe I wouldn't have liked it. But now, juggernaut, absolute juggernaut.
Yeah.
You see the ratings for the was it the Cowboy 49er game was like 50 million? I mean, the NFL.
I think both games were.
Got the West Coast and the South.
It's not even fair. It's genuinely not even fair what they do to the other sports. And I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the other thing too. Somebody had posted the top 100 highest rated programs, like from what year was the election? 2020? 2020, and then I think 2021. And I think the NFL in 2020 had 87 of the top 100 spots, I want to say it was. And then like a few of them were like presidential debates, and then there was like was the Olympics that year as well, I think, or something like that. And then 2021 they had like another 80, 88, 90 spots. The NFL just crushes everybody. It is absolutely unbelievable what they do with their ratings. They are probably single-handedly keeping cable alive. I mean,
one of the main ones.
I mean, they kept DirecTV
sure.
alive. I don't know what DirecTV is going to do now that they lost the Sunday ticket, which, hey, is, by the way, fine with me. I still want a refund for that week that I couldn't even watch. Missed from like the first minute 30 of the first quarter to like the third quarter. Just
something that I paid for that I want to refund? NBA League Pass. I'm tired of when I go on there and I click on a game and it tells me like they don't have the game. Like it's the NBA League Pass. Like, what do you mean you don't have the game? It's
Does that mean it's blacked out for you?
Yeah, it's the blackout because the League Pass, my League Pass shows me like 8 different.
Yeah, like it'll do that, but none of them will work for me. I don't know what it is. It's happened a few times. It annoys me.
I'd write a strongly worded letter if I were you.
I'm just not. I mean, I just paid for this month. Might be last month.
Yeah, see if they got a support at the bottom of the app or something like that. Try to hit somebody up. Word.
Well, listen, my problems, Josh's problems, CJ's just living life over here. But what was this? UFC 287. That's where the fights were just announced, I believe. CJ, we were saying before the show started. Of course, we got to chat in the back a little bit. But yeah, so the fights announced. We had Izzy and I don't know how to technically say it because it looks like Pereira.
Right.
But Dana always says it Pereira.
Yeah, I mean it's probably the English version, and if you want to do it with the accent. But it's the right word.
Well, Izzy's getting his rematch. That's all I know. They also had CJ. You said Masvidal and Gilbert Burns, I believe it was. So hey, UFC is stacking up cards here. I mean, we got what? Because when's that going to be in?
287.
April.
Yeah. So what we got? We got Volkanovski and
Islam coming up.
Islam next week, right?
Crazy fight.
And then is the John fight?
John fight's in March.
March 4th.
And Leon and Usman is March, I believe, too.
And then we get an Izzy rematch. I mean, whoo, that's 4 pay-per-views in a row right there. That bangers.
Do you guys think it makes sense that Izzy's the favorite too in this fight?
No.
It's not a huge favorite. I think he's minus like 176 or something like that. It's not huge, but I was shocked that he was the favorite to start.
See, I don't think I'm shocked because I think he won the fight up until the last part where he did.
But he lost. But he lost.
Okay, all right. But don't you think that Usman's going to be the favorite against Leon?
Yeah.
I do, but I think the history between Pereira and Izzy's different. Like Izzy hasn't really got him. He hasn't really got him in any aspect that yet. Really.
You're right. You're right. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like Izzy was dominant for so long, and then he was doing very well in that fight up until what? That was in the last 3 minutes of the fight.
I thought at least
Right.
opening lines would be Pereira. Just Vegas. That just seems like something they would do. Opening lines. You know, the champ is going to be the favorite, but I guess Izzy has built that reputation to be the guy. Like he has to be the favorite.
I will say UFC is the one sport that I think I've ever seen where like champions or like higher ranked people are consistently underdogs. Like
Yeah,
consistent, like
because
no,
the best
and-
fight the best.
oh yeah, of course. And like you obviously, you know, if they think that this person's really good, but they just started, that's why they're ranked lower. But I mean, you see fights all the time where it's like, oh yeah, the 12 is fighting the number, 6 or whatever, and the number 12 is a minus 300. I'm like, that is no other sport. Like you would never see let's just say the Yankees going, if they had 100 wins and they were going to play a 60-win team, the 60-win team would never be the favorite. It doesn't matter if they said that a position player was pitching. Like it just like the NFL. Obviously, if you had a 16-0 team versus an 0-16 team, like it would never be that. So it's so weird, like coming from the outside in to like how it's always like that. And you even see championship fights all the time too. Like I think DC was always the underdog when he fought John, which then again is understandable. Stipe was the underdog the second time he fought Stipe, I believe, when Ngannou knocked him out. Like all those weird things were like, this person's a champion, this person's ranked higher, and it's like, that's cute. That's cool. But the person below you probably gonna kill you. And it's like, oh, okay. Makes sense. But going back. Go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, the reason why that happens, that point that you made, is because the UFC is a singular one-on-one sport. So if Hamzat's ranked 12 and he's going up against a striker, gonna go with Hamzat.
That's what happened with Gilbert Burns, actually. That's a good example.
Right.
Gilbert Burns was like ranked 3.
Yeah, it's exactly, you know what I mean? Like he was ranked up and he's leveled up, and now he's getting this Masvidal fight, big fight. He's gonna get pay-per-view points, I would hope. Hopefully he deserves it. He's been on a crazy tear over the last year and a half. So that's what it is. It's singular. So if it's about the matchups and the styles. So if that 12th ranked fighter has a better matchup than the 3rd rank or the 6th rank, you're gonna go with the 12th rank, especially if you see him on the rise, like a O'Malley, like a Hamzat, like a Shavkat, like those guys on the rise, getting ready to go. So that's that's a good point though. That's a good observation by you. That is a good observation.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just weird to me. Like as I got into it, and I would look at it, I'd be, how are you ranked 13? You're fighting 3, and you're the favorite by like plus 200. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense to me. But it was weird. But let's go back to what the things that were announced.
Yeah.
Do we think Izzy gets his revenge here? And my main question too is, I guess coming after that first fight, everybody was like, oh, like, yeah, Pereira's good and he has Izzy's number, but like if he has to fight a grappler or somebody who can really wrestle, like it's over, blah, 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 blah. He's just very good at striking and this and that. Do you think Izzy tries to take a more wrestling heavy approach instead of staying on the feet? I also, to be fair, because I'm not just going to talk out of my ass, don't know Izzy's wrestling background and how good he is at grappling and everything. Very casual, as I say. So what do you guys think? Josh, how about I start with you? What do you think? Does he get his payback? Do you think he takes to the ground more? What do you think's going on?
I don't think he's really going to switch up what he did in the last fight. I mean, even after the fight, he was in the press conference, high spirits, fur coat on. So I feel like he was happy with the fight, not the result, obviously, but the fight he fought, I feel like he was pretty happy with that. The last time we really saw him, have to grapple was when he moved up a weight class against Jan. And, that's not a great example of his grappling ability because obviously Blachowicz is, much bigger and stronger than he is. But I don't expect him to try to take it to the ground too much. If there are opportunities there and he's feeling it, then yeah. But I expect him to stick with what he was doing last time. Stay in Pereira's face, kick the legs a lot. Just a lot of the same stuff he did last fight. This is a tough pick. I'm gonna go with Izzy. I think he does get the belt back, and I say that in hopes because I would love to see a third fight if this one's good too. But
Facts.
I mean, Pereira's got that knockout power. I mean, one punch and you're done. Izzy. I don't want to say he has that. He has it to where he can set up a TKO, but I don't think he has that one punch power that puts people to sleep. But I'll go with Izzy. I think he's going to get it back.
It's going to be a great fight. All four of their, all three of their fights have been great. All three of their fights have been great. And Izzy was up in all of those fights until those last two where he wasn't. And Adesanya's grappling. He's going to have to be able to grapple. He's going to have to be able to really mix it up, put him on the ground, get him on the ground. But the thing with Alex is, the knees, the flying knees, the front kicks. If he gets a sense that you're about to shoot, the front kicks, nasty front kicks. The left hook is the equalizer, like Josh talked about. Once that's if you watch his highlights, even when he was at Glory Kickboxing, what he did over there at 185, what he did at 205, winning the belt, the first person to ever do that over there at Glory. Like, just his strike, he's the best striker in the world. Best striker in the world, no doubt about it. So it's tough. It's a tough fight for Adesanya, and you really got to get him out of there. If you don't get him out of there, he almost got him out of there. And at the end of that first round, I was like, oh, and I thought going into the second he was going to try to, but Pereira has, fortitude, he has grit, and he has will. And he fought through that and got that finish in the fifth. He checked that leg kick. It was over after that. And then Mark Goddard made the right call.
I was just about to ask you that too, because there's still people that think that
one
Izzy
knee,
should
boy,
give him a chance.
One knee, and it would have looked like like my guy, and I hope he recovers and gets better and works on after that knockout. He would look like McKinney. Josh, you see what happened to McKinney?
Yeah.
It would have looked like he would have hit him with a knee or a left. Mark Goddard did the right thing, bro. Whatever you want to say. At first, I was like, it was early because he was moving his head, but I thought about it. I was like, he was gonna. He could have kneed him right there. It would have been GG's.
Oh, yeah.
Slumped. He would have been slumped. Asadi would have got slumped. So it's gonna be a tough fight for Adesanya. He's gonna. I think you're right. He has to do what he did in the last fight, just more. He has to grapple more, get to the ground, really be active on the ground, really win those rounds. He's gonna have to mix it up but even still, he's gonna have to be in incredible shape. He knows that because he's gonna have to be able to take those shots from Pereira.
I think it's really about
now we're doing 4-ounce gloves, so he's putting people out.
Yeah.
He was putting people out he was putting people out in the 10 ounces in kickboxing. Now he's doing it in the 4. Him and Jamal Hill, him versus Yuri.
Yeah.
Block.
Do you think, CJ, because obviously Adesanya, it's very rare he loses rounds. He's always winning on points. He knows how to rack up points each round. So do you think this fight kind of it's more of just do that and survive? It's a survival fight. Don't let him catch you. Do you think it's kind of more like that for him?
Well, listen, he's been in there with Pereira 3 times, so he knows how dangerous he is in terms of power. He took some big shots from him throughout those first 4 rounds, and up until that 5th round. So he understands the power. I think, you're right. Like I'm saying, he has to mix it up. You can't just stand there and kickbox with Pereira because he can win that, but also he is the susceptibility of him getting caught as well. Mm-hmm. So that's why he has to go to the ground, be active on the ground, transitions, submission attempts, ground and pound. He has to work, be active on the ground, man. He should be working on that in this camp. That should be his primary focus. We know that kickboxing is elite, but you have to now be a mixed martial artist now. You have to keep mixing it up. That's the only way he could be. That's the only way he could catch him as well. He could catch Pereira too. Don't get me wrong. Adesanya could definitely catch Pereira too. Let's not sleep on his skills. But again, he has that equalizer. Alex has the equalizer, so it's going to be a tough fight. But a big fight, though. I can't wait.
Like I said, the UFC has really set this up that we're going to have some great fights over the next, 3 months now. Obviously, I can't wait for John to get back. That'll be fun. I mean, who doesn't want to see that Usman rematch? I mean, that's another
course.
one. That's another one where
Trilogy.
he had to fight one until the last, 50 seconds. Obviously, we just talked about Izzy and everything like that. Islam next week. Woo! And don't worry, next week, obviously, we're going to break down what we think is going to happen at that pay-per-view. Probably break down the Super Bowl a little bit more next week. We're obviously going to break down the NFL games that just happened on this championship Sunday this week. And then, probably give light Super Bowl predictions at the end of the show, but then really try and break it down next week. Because, hey, listen, we got to make a show here. Can't give away all the fodder in 1 week. You know what I'm saying? But let's move over to the NFL. Why don't we do that? And before we get to those games, listen, there's NFL news going on all the time. So we got to break some stuff down. And one of them is very near and dear to the heart of the guy to the right of me, Mr. Josh. The Carolina Panthers, your team, keep pounding, has hired Frank Reich, obviously the former Colts head coach who was fired this year before Jeff Saturday came in. Didn't do much. Obviously won that first game against the Raiders, and then it went downhill after that, including the biggest comeback in NFL history. But he has been hired, Frank Reich, by your Carolina Panthers. How do we feel? Are we upset? Are we happy? Run me through the emotions.
Initial reaction, actually, I woke up from a nap and had a couple text messages and saw it.
Crust in the eye and everything, huh?
Yeah. Initial reactions, I was upset.
Okay.
I wanted Wilkes. I've wanted Wilkes since, I saw what he was turning the team into this season. Because I think for a head coach, it's very important that you see, not just a couple guys, but a whole team buy into something. Everybody in that locker room bought into Wilkes. Every post-game interview was take away the interim tag, give this man, real head coach job. And the whole team wanted that, and I wanted it. Frank Reich, it's going to be nice to have an offensive mind leading the team. That is going to be nice. We'll have to see what his staff looks like. From what Wilkes posted on social media, I don't think he will be back, which is kind of saddening. But, we'll have to see. Let's see what we do in the draft. We'll have to see if we move up and get a young quarterback. See who comes in as OC. I don't know really how to feel about it right now. I don't like it. It kind of, because after dealing with Matt Rule for so long and then having a coach that's, actually doing good by the team, to then move on to a guy who hasn't had too much success as a head coach. He wasn't a complete failure in Indy. His first few years there were nice. But obviously this season was a disappointment for him. We'll have to see. I hope we don't do what the Colts have been doing, which is kind of similar to what we've been doing, just a quarterback carousel. I really don't want to do that anymore. But I don't know. There's still a lot of things we have to see that happen. I think it's a 3 or 4 year deal. So they didn't commit to the Jay-Z 7 years like they did with Matt Rule. But we'll just have to see how the staff fills out, what the quarterback is. But right now, I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle. Try not to be mad at it. I want to be optimistic about it.
Yeah, have some faith, Josh. Come on.
He's a good offensive coach. He's a great play caller. So I'm excited for that.
See, that's where I think I land on it that way too, where I don't think I'd be upset about it. I don't think I'd necessarily be, over the moon. But then again, I don't think any of the coaching names out there really excite me that much other than Sean Payton, because, obviously he's won a Super Bowl before. And then, you get into that whole thing too. Well, he had a Hall of Fame quarterback and he's still only won one. I feel like we got to stop doing that as well. That's a whole different conversation. But Bill and Brady really messed everything up for everybody. And I'm not even saying that as a Patriot fan. It's just like
I'd kill for one.
No. But not even. That's what I'm saying, Josh. Like, we look at quarterbacks now, and it's like, oh well, he only won one Super Bowl. He only won 2 Super Bowls. That head coach only has 1. Okay. Do we understand how difficult
who do we say that about?
I just watching things, like Drew Brees and Sean Payton. I'm watching New York.
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron
Rodgers.
But the reason why for Aaron Rodgers is he gets to the NFC Conference Championship game and folds.
That's why
that
too.
That's why people say that. If it wasn't that way, if he say he went to Super Bowls and lost a few and won a few, then yeah. But he gets to the NFC Conference Championship game.
CJ, I'm gonna tell you right now, we can get into this conversation later on as well, because I think this might turn into one. If Mahomes loses this Super Bowl, it's gonna be that conversation. I guarantee you. Does he deserve the conversation?
It's early. It's too early.
He's what, year 6?
I guarantee you that'll turn into a conversation, though. It's not fair to him because, like you said, it is early. It's only his, I believe it's his, 5th season as a full-time starter, and it's already been to 3 Super Bowls. Obviously, a conference championship game every single year. He's been a full-time starter. He loses a Super Bowl, it's all of a sudden going to be, oh, he's 1-2 in Super Bowls. Was that one win lucky because it was Jimmy G? Can he really beat a great team and a great quarter? Like I guarantee you that'll be the headlines and what the media will do.
I mean, yeah, probably. There's going to be definitely some outlets out there, but I mean, the logical ones that really understand how this thing works. You're looking at a guy that's the most dominant player in the league, and he's only 27. So the sky's the limit. He's already here. He'll be 1-2 right now, but he has if he stays healthy, God willing, a decade left of football. So who knows what that record's going to look like? He's already dominating the AFC already. Of course, there's going to be other factors. Kelsey, who they replace Kelsey with down the road. Right. Those are down the road situations. But right now, in the present, you capitalize on these moments, and that's why they get into the bowl or right there into it in the Final Four.
No, absolutely. Yeah, but I mean, but even then, like I said before, Drew Brees and Sean Payton. I'm listening to my good old Michael K show, and there was rumors, or not really rumors, but they were asking the question like, would you fire Robert Saleh if Sean Payton wanted to come here? And you got some people calling in like, absolutely. And then you have other people, oh, he had Drew Brees for all those years, only won 1 Super Bowl. Like, is he really that good of a coach? He won 1 Super Bowl with a Hall of Fame quarterback. And there are conversations out there, like I'm saying, where it's like, oh, this person only won 1, or this coach only won 1 in all those years with this player. Like even Mike McCarthy, Super Bowl winning head coach. Nobody thinks that he's a good head coach, though. Every time you hear somebody talk about Mike McCarthy, it's always, oh, he can't do this. If he's the head coach of your team, do you really think you're going to do this? Like that's a full-time conversation with Mike McCarthy.
I think he's a good head coach. I just think he's flawed. He's flawed. He's flawed in big aspects. Time management, penalty. His teams are always ranked high in penalties. That's a coaching issue. So he's a good head coach, but yeah, right, he's just a flawed one. I mean, you win back-to-back 12-win seasons. Like the Falcons would kill for that right now. No, back-to-back 12-win seasons.
And I think that's the point that Josh was making.
Right, yeah, Panthers.
Second playoff appearance will be real nice.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
That would be a lot of fun.
So McCarthy, he's good. He's good. It's not. I mean, Jason Garrett wasn't doing that. No, it was going. They had that 13-3.
A lot of 8-8 by Mr. Clapper.
There you go. So he's a good head coach. He's just flawed.
Well, obviously, the Panthers are hoping that they took care of that flaw with Frank Wright, but that'll be.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, CJ. I was just gonna say that'll be soon to find out. Obviously, they don't have a quarterback. They traded away their best offensive player in CMC. Obviously, you still got more there. But then you got Burns, you have Chin. So you got some players over there in certain key positions, but they need some help, obviously. And, the draft is going to be very important for them. But CJ, what were you going on?
Yeah, so Frank Reich is 40, 33-1. Right? So that's good. That's good.
That's what we did it with.
Right, exactly. With a carousel of quarterbacks. Yes, with a carousel of veteran, over the hill quarterbacks. So and this is it. This is really all it comes down to right here. The quarterback.
There is no position in sport that's more important.
He's a former quarterback.
Our first quarterback in our franchise history was Frank Reich. He
threw the first pass in Carolina history. That is true.
Crazy. So this is a little special moment for him, So, but that's nice. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to who's going to be the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. They have the 9th pick, like Josh talked about, top 10 pick, and am I trading up? If I'm David Tepper, I'm like, yo, we need to move up and get Stroud. Bryce
It's
is
not too
out.
often that
Bryce is
number
out of
one
there.
pick. It's not too often that number one pick is just openly available. That doesn't happen every year in the draft. Like to just be able
Yeah.
to trade up and you get to pick the first guy. Like there's no chance someone else can
All
take
right,
it
let
from
me
them.
ask. Let me
You
be the
guys
annoying
should
person
be
again, though.
making the
Let me be
moves.
the annoying person again. I'm very good at this, by the way. Do you want to trade up now and get that quarterback? Which I understand. I understand. We just talked about it. Most important position in football. If you don't have one, blah blah blah. But Josh, you know this. The rest of the team needs a lot of help.
Yeah.
Like you need a running back now. You need another offensive weapon, probably a wide receiver. I'm not going to lie, Josh. I'm not a Panther fan either, obviously. I don't even know who your tight end is.
Tommy Tremble ain't nothing. Ian Thomas isn't nothing. So we
Okay.
need help
So
there too.
you could probably use a tight end. You could use some offensive line help. You can never have, too many people on defense, it seems. So you have all of that, and you're going to have to mortgage a lot of things to move up from 9-1. It's not like it's going to be like, hey, pick swap, you take 9, we'll take 1. It's probably going to be 9 this year, maybe even a second this year, a first the year after that, maybe a first the year after that. Like, I don't know how many picks the Bears are looking for, obviously. I would assume that as we get closer to the draft, which is in April, that the stories will start coming out. This team really wants to move up. This is the package that the Bears are looking for. But right now, you're figuring it's going to take at least a minimum, bare minimum, right, of 2 firsts, and I'd say a second, and then like another like mid-round pick. And for a team that needs help, do you want to mortgage the future now when you need more help on the team to get your quarterback, or like I keep saying about other situations, do you kind of build up the team and then when you're in need of that quarterback, do you try and go make that big trade? I mean, Josh, you're the Panther fan here, so that's why I guess it's kind of what would you think? Because listen, if it's me, yeah, I know I need a quarterback, but what am I going to do? A quarterback with a bad team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the price obviously is going to be the biggest issue. And under Matt Rule, we didn't draft the best. Like Jeremy Chin, I love Jeremy Chin, but that man needs to be a linebacker. I do not want to see him play safety too much more. He's much better suited as a linebacker, so I hope we do that. But outside of him, we haven't drafted too well. I mean, Icky's a dog, but I mean, we let Hassan Reddick walk because we thought Etira Gross Matos was going to be a dog, and he's not. So we haven't drafted too well over the past few years. We did get capital from that CMC trade. We got some picks out of that. So maybe, the double seconds we have this year, plus 9. And then, obviously there's going to be at least 2 future firsts you got to throw in there because this is to trade up to draft one of 2 quarterbacks who have been, talked about since they got to college. I mean, CJ Stroud and Bryce Young have been, touted as future stars for quite a while. So that price is going to be heavy. And I mean, I like Matt Corral, and we really haven't got a chance to see him. So I would not be opposed to holding on to all of our picks, seeing if Corral's a guy. If he's not, we'll probably have another down year. And then, Caleb Williams and Drake May are there too next year. Like the quarterbacks in the future. Yeah, like there's just so many good quarterbacks in the future. It's not like this year is. It's not like the next few years are going to be Mitch Trubisky is a top pick or anything like that. Like the next few years have very talented quarterbacks as well. I would not be mad at trading up though. Just some type of hope would be really nice. That's all I'm really looking for. Because right now it's Sam Darnold. We'll see if Matt Corral plays, but I don't know. I have no clue what we're going to do about it. I don't know what Tepper and Fitterer have up their sleeve this offseason. Fitterer in his exit meeting at the end of the season said we're going after a lot of skill guys, which I like to hear. And receiver-wise, I think Terrence Marshall is going to be a great receiver in this league. He has big play potential. He made a lot of big plays this season for us downfield. Obviously, DJ Moore, a beast, very underrated. But yeah, we do need help at tight end. I'm okay with bringing back Deontay Foreman and Chuba. I always say it wrong, but I like the duo of them at running back. They kind of balance each other out. But I mean, that O-line, We're gonna need to get some more guard help. We had a lot of injuries there this year. Defensively, we got to get someone to give Brian Burns a chance to rush the Patrick because he's all we got right there. Derek Brown had a great year. J.C. Horn, injury problems already. Don't love seeing that, but when he's healthy, he's one of the best corners in the league. So we got pieces. So I'd probably lean more towards keeping our picks than trading up because I think we have pieces, and I think we should give Corral a chance because we traded up to get him too, and he hasn't got to see any regular season action, obviously because of the Liz Frank injury. But yeah, I'd probably lean towards that option than giving all the farm.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. Baker Mayfield, then Sam Darnold, PJ Walker. It's just been up and down with the quarterback carousel post Cam Newton. That's what it's been. Just haven't really been able to find that consistency there after letting Cam go. Even bringing Cam back didn't work, So it's just that was the factor there. So yeah, this quarterback situation is big time. And Frank Reich being a former quarterback, this is a career defining move for that GM and for Frank Reich. They have to be in the lab. I would keep those picks as well. I'll be 3 for 3 on that because I think next year's class is better from quarterback. You got Darius Rashard, Shador Sanders, Caleb Williams, like you talked about, May.
Big Daniel too. He's good too.
Yes, exactly. So I like next year's class. This year's class is good. I like Bryce. I like Stroud, but if they're going to ask for 3 first-round picks because that was the trade. Trey Lance was 3, right? 3 first-round picks. So
I think that was the 3rd pick.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's what I mean. That was for the 3rd pick. So now for number 1, 4 minimum. So I don't think it's worth it. I agree with you guys.
Well, all right. We'll get into our next little topic here before the big games. Just real quick, Kellen Moore was let go by the Cowboys, and then was immediately hired by the Chargers. Like basically immediately. I just quick thoughts, CJ. You think this is a good plan? You like the hiring? You think it unlocks Justin Herbert in that offense, or what do you think's going on here?
From the coaching standpoint, getting the hire right there, I guess you got a great agent. Great agent, man. That's why
definitely no tampering.
That's why I never feel bad for these coaches when they get fired because they just get jobs in a heartbeat, in a second. Like it's nothing. Mike LaFleur gets fired by the Jets, then he gets hired by the Rams. Wow. Going into with those guys being healthy now. Now he's the offensive coordinator of the team with Kupp healthy, Stafford healthy. You hope you get something from Allen Robinson. Like
Hackett gets fired by the Broncos, offensive coordinator for the Jets.
No, he goes to the Jets. Right? That's what I mean. It's just that's why I feel bad for these guys, bro. People get fired every day in real life. So it happens. It happens. But yeah, listen, Kellen Moore, it's a good move. I think it's the only move that made sense. Really didn't see any other coordinator out there after they got rid of Lombardi for the Chargers. We'll see if he could bring some type of complexity to this offense. He did a great job with Tony Pollard, getting him in space. They have Austin Eckler. So we know Austin Eckler is one of the most dynamic offensive players in the NFL. So that's we'll see what he does with that. Obviously, Herbert's development is monumental. If he could, play a big part in that, then he'll get a head coaching job in a year or two, easy. So we'll see what he does. He has a lot of weapons. He's blessed. He should be grateful. Like, you should be grateful. You go from the Cowboys to the Chargers. You go from Dak to Herbert.
That's the main thing for me. You go from Dak to Herbert, and then listen, CD is cool, but you go from CD and Gallup or whatever to
it's not even
Allen and Mike Williams.
Yeah,
I'll accept that. They already Corey Linsley's there, so their offensive line's good. Slater will obviously be back next season. So hopefully they don't go through all the injury problems that they went through this year, obviously. Like you said, Eckler. Yeah, I mean, I think that he only got fired because they needed a scapegoat, and obviously Mike McCarthy wasn't going to get fired. They had already said that he was safe, and I think they just want to throw some chum to the fans and like, oh, hey, look, we're making changes. We're not happy that we got eliminated either. I think it's one of those, PR moves to fire him. So good pickup by the Chargers. Like you said, hopefully, he'll bring some complexity to him. Maybe put him under center a little bit more. Use the play action more, run the ball a little bit better. Just those little things that can make, the team that much better, obviously. So I'm excited to see it and obviously hope that, Herbert has a big year because, well, yeah, it's fun to watch him play. Josh?
Yeah, I think it was, a kind of a safe move, after dealing with what Lombardi was running that offense, Kellen Moore, over the years with Dallas. Even though they haven't had playoff success, their offense moves the ball well. Like, they score points, and I think that's kind of what the Chargers are looking for, some consistency offensively. Kellen Moore was a quarterback himself for a long time in Dallas. He's got that experience too. So I think it's a safe hire. I think they're going to maybe actually have a run game this year instead of just, flinging it out to Eckler and calling that a running play,
Right.
what they did most of this year. But obviously health is going to be the biggest part to seeing if he can have success, because that's been their biggest issue since Herbert got there, is the offense hasn't been able to stay healthy. So hopefully this year that'll happen. But I think it's a great hire for him. I think he's going to help Herbert out a lot, because Herbert can obviously do a lot of the things that Dak couldn't. So maybe that's going to give Kellen Moore, an opportunity to do a lot of things he wasn't able to do with Dallas. So I think it's a smart hire to do it that quickly too, because Kellen Moore is actually the second option behind Frank Reich for the Panthers. If Frank Reich wasn't going to go there, we were going to have Kellen Moore as a head coach. So there are probably a lot of other teams that were going to go after Kellen Moore too, and I think it's the right hire. I think it's a good move.
Well, alrighty, that's our thoughts on all of that. And listen, let's get into the moment everybody's probably been honestly waiting for, and that would be the championship games that happened over this weekend. And we're going to kick it off with San Francisco and Philly, which this might sound weird, but I was kind of looking forward to this game more than the Bengals and the Chiefs in a way. Maybe it's because my brother's an Eagles fan, so listen, my team's out. I don't really have a rooting interest anymore. So I was, hoping the Eagles would win. I thought this was going to be an absolute slugfest, between two unbelievable defenses and some pretty good offenses over there. And that changed very, very quickly, as we all saw. Obviously the first drive of the game, Eagles go down. Devonta Smith makes an unbelievable one-handed catch, or so we thought, because technically it was not a catch. He got up immediately, started doing the little hand signal to like, hey, I'm going to need y'all to hurry the hell up and get to the line so we can run a play, because I did not catch that. And you see, the thing is, too, they probably – there's two sides to this, right? Everybody's blaming the 49ers like, a wide receiver immediately gets up, tells everybody to get to the line. That's how you should challenge it, blah, blah, blah. And I do get that side of the story. But there's also the other side where, like, they had to go hurry up, and Fox obviously has to show the play, and they got to the line so fast that they didn't show the replay on TV. And, like, that's what the replay, the person that's dedicated to replay, like, for each specific team is looking for. They're looking at the play happen. They're waiting for Fox or whatever broadcast network to show all the angles of all the plays. And then, then they can call it down and be like, hey, we need you to challenge this, blah, blah, blah. They didn't have time to do that. So there was probably nothing coming up from the top like, hey, we should take a look at this. But I do understand the other people that are like, a wide receiver just caught it and he's yelling at everybody to get up to the line and get, the next playoff. So whatever. They don't challenge it. The Eagles end up scoring a touchdown, 7-0. And you're like, oh, well, that looked a little easy. Like maybe, the Eagles offense is, going to show this 49ers defense something. So then the 49ers get the ball. And Josh, I'm sure you were probably happy that, Hassan Reddick isn't on your team anymore. The 49ers just decided to not block him. They just thought that he wasn't very important, apparently. And I believe it was it a second or third down? But Hassan Reddick comes around the corner, just absolutely destroys Brock Purdy, ends up being a fumble on the play. But the bigger thing was that he hit his arm as he was moving forward. We have later come to find out he now has a complete UCL tear. So he needs Tommy John, which a baseball player, that's like a year you're out. And I know that football is a different throwing motion, sort of, and maybe it's not as much on the elbow because not like you're throwing curveballs or anything. You're just straight over the top. They're saying about 6 months. I wonder if it really will be 6 months because, like I said, coming from a baseball point of view, a pitcher, that's like a year and a half. Like, you're done. And obviously the quarterback throws the ball. Football is heavier than baseball, too, as well. So I don't know. But now Brock Purdy's out of the game. Okay, and comes Josh Johnson, whatever. Was it Hassan Reddick again that absolutely destroyed him, or was that Ndamukong Suh? I'm not completely sure. But somebody.
You mean for Josh Johnson?
Yeah.
It was Suh, yeah.
It was Suh.
Right.
Suh tackles him. Same kind of play. His arm is moving forward, but he smashes his head on the ground. And they even said when they came back from commercial that he kind of wobbled to the sideline. He got rolled out with a concussion. And honestly, I thought the game was kind of over when Brock Purdy got hurt. You knew the game was over when Josh Johnson got hurt. I mean, there was absolutely zero chance the 49ers had any more. The Eagles, they did. I'll give them credit, though. They kept it close for a little bit. After the Eagles went down and scored that touchdown, they really struggled moving the ball. The 49ers even tied it at 1.77 after CMC, had honestly not a beast mode run to the same level, but he was bouncing off people, made a little hop over another guy, bumped off another, broke a couple tackles, and then made it into the end zone and made it 7-7. But from then on, I mean, the Eagles literally just stacked the box and said, we know you have to run the ball, especially after Josh Johnson got hurt, because you saw it on the sideline. Brock Purdy's throwing and warming up, and you're thinking, okay, maybe, he can do something. But he was also, they said after the game, he could only throw the ball 5 yards. And I think after he came back in, he threw the ball maybe once or twice total. So the Eagles were obviously selling out run, and that's all the 49ers could do. And the Eagles obviously ran up the score. I think they had like 3 rushing touchdowns. And it was over from there. And the Eagles are obviously moving on to the Super Bowl. But from a game that I thought was going to be very, very good turn into that, it's just super unfortunate. I feel like the 49ers cannot escape injuries. Like, all the time. And it's not even like, big hits or anything like that. I feel like too, like Jimmy got tackled normally in my eyes, breaks his foot. Trey Lance, with his ankle as well. And then Brock, he's just throwing a pass where, like, you see it all the time where quarterbacks get hit as their arms going forward. And yeah, it's usually like, it hurts a little bit, whatever they can play through it. A total UCL tear. Like, really? Like, what are the odds of that in the NFC Championship game? And then, okay, well, we got our 4th string quarterback now. Maybe we still have a chance because, we still got Debo. We still got Kittle. And this guy can obviously actually throw passes. He's a real quarterback. And then a couple plays later, he's on the ground concussed. Like, it is unbelievable. As a 49ers fan, I cannot imagine how frustrating that has to be. I cannot imagine it. So Eagles obviously win. They're going to go on to the Super Bowl. But CJ, what were just your thoughts of this game? And, obviously everything that happened as well.
Just unfortunate, really, that Brock wasn't able to, be healthy, so we could see these 2 teams go at it. These 2 juggernaut teams, and I really wanted to see, like you said, a slugfest. We kind of got robbed of that, but we got robbed of that not because of anything fluky. We got robbed of that because of a great defense, pursuit of the quarterback, and that's what Reddick did, and he deserves all the praise. That's what his job is to do, is to get the quarterback out of the game and get the backup in there. That's exactly what they did. And Josh Johnson came in there and was flustered. He had no idea what was going on. It's not even staying focused on a simple shotgun snap. I mean, listen, bro, you've been in the league 30. I know he's probably nervous. Never probably ever been thought he would be in that situation.
Absolutely not.
But it was tough. And then he gets hurt, gets a concussion. Honestly, I would have liked to see McCaffrey at quarterback, and they just try to do some read option wildcat. Just try
See,
it.
yeah,
Just
all
try
right.
it.
That's
I know the Eagles defense Eagles defense is elite, but I mean, why would you just have Purdy come out there and just throw little screens for 20 minutes?
CJ. That's the thing that
That makes
and
sense
kind
to
of
me.
obviously a question both of you and CJ. I'm obviously going to let you finish, but that's a lot of the conversation going on right now too. Is like Kyle Shanahan's this offensive genius. Everybody keeps saying whatever. Technically, Josh Johnson and Brock Purdy were gone by halftime, so you had halftime and like the rest of the game to make adjustments. And like you said, CJ, they just put Brock Purdy back out there and were like, "Hey, throw a screen pass one time, and all the other times we're just going to run the ball up the middle, or try and do a nice little end around, or put Debo back there and see what happens." Were you kind of surprised that Kyle didn't, like you said, try a wildcat? Hell, do that stupid reverse, pitch back and whatever, flea flickers, like anything other than hike, handoff, hike. Handoff this way, okay, like.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't able to get creative. And listen, it's a big blow mentally, to prepare all week, do everything, and then your starting quarterback gets hurt, especially as well as they've been able to play with Purdy in the lineup. So it's definitely a big blow. But yeah, I agree. I think they could have been more creative. Like I said, just try it. I mean, this is the last game of the season potentially. So I mean, I feel like exactly. So I feel like you got to bring everything out. Fortunately, they didn't do that. Unfortunately, he didn't challenge that Devontae Smith catch that you talked about. Should have challenged that. Should be somebody in his headset talking to him from up in the booth like, think you should throw that flag. I don't think he had full possession. Where's that communication? I don't know. But he should have threw that flag. That's a big play. That's on fourth down. If you overturn that play, it's turnover on downs. That could literally change the complexity of the game. So that's just tough. And then they had some penalties as well. Even when Purdy was out, even when Josh Johnson was out, they had that nice big run to McCaffrey, broke some tackles. I was like, let's go. He's finally getting this playoff push, this playoff run, playing great in the playoffs. Happy for him, man. He deserves this. But it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough, man. And it's unfortunate for the 49er fans. They've been right there for the last 3 years and just haven't, actually longer than that, really. You look at the last decade, they've been right there. Look at Alex Smith, Kaepernick, Garoppolo, Purdy, Garoppolo. So, I mean, they just haven't been able to find that guy at quarterback. They haven't been able to find the Steve Young. They haven't been able to find the Joe Montana. That's just what it is. Garoppolo, yeah, you can look at the numbers, third highest win percentage as a 49er quarterback. Looks phenomenal, but we know what time it is. So that's going to be the situation for the 49ers, the quarterbacks. And then for the Eagles, so happy for Jalen Hurts, man. Able to get that. Man, Connie and I have been talking about Hurts. Never folded. Never let the media try to manipulate our logic. Beautiful, beautiful when you're able to do that. And we said this. I said it. I was like, he got the weapons, no excuses. And now they're in the Super Bowl. So he's just a special player. He's a special football player. You want to compare him and Mahomes? It's just like comparing Steph and LeBron. They're different styles in the same sport. That's just all it is. Is Mahomes better in some ways? Obviously. Maybe outside of running, every way probably. But Hurts still has that ability. He has the running ability that Mahomes doesn't have. He brings that to the table. You really have to account for like 4 guys in the backfield, and that's including the running back when you talk about Jalen Hurts. Then you got the receivers on the outside, and they get one-on-ones because of the run game. It's a beautiful offense. It's a real simple, we're going to run the ball first. We got great guys on the outside, so they're going to get one-on-ones, and we're going to throw slants and deep balls to Devontae and AJ. Quez Watkins gets one every once in a while. RPOs, yep, and Goddard's going to get everything underneath because you got to worry about those 2 guys. It's just talent.
What? On top of all that, he's going to have all day to throw because they have a bunch of absolute behemoths on the offensive line.
Best center in the NFL, best right tackle in the NFL. So
And what, a top 5 left tackle with Mailata?
Mailata's definitely up there as well. So it's
And what, didn't their guard
well,
make the Pro Bowl too? I think.
yeah. They're well
With
oiled
Landon
machine.
Dickerson too.
Landon Dickerson, yes. Yeah. Dickerson is a beast. He's a beast. He's a beast. And I got to give credit to Howie Roseman. The way he's built this team, wow. The people doubted him for a year or two, but he really locked in and reconstructed this team after winning the Super Bowl in 2017 and turned it even to a better situation because now you have a younger quarterback with a much higher upside than Wentz ever had. Ever. And he's going to excel. I'm so happy for him. His intangibles is elite. In college, remember in college, Tua beat him out, right? Because he threw the pass to Devontae Smith in the national championship game. And over to after he got sacked on 3rd and 17, crazy game. I remember that like it was yesterday. You feel me? And Hurts sat out that whole year, was the backup. Remember, because the transfer portal was different. It's not like how it is now. You can leave. You had to sit out a whole year. So he sat out a whole year after Tua took a spot. Then he went to Oklahoma and became a Heisman candidate. Now gets drafted in the 2nd round. Everybody says what he can't do.
Stupid decision.
Wentz is the future. Got to go with Wentz last. This and that. He comes in there. Doug Peterson gave him a chance. Didn't have to do that. We've seen a lot of quarterbacks and head coaches, Jeff Fisher, Vince Young. They didn't connect. Jeff Fisher and Vince Young didn't connect in Tennessee. And that's why we didn't get to see the Titans that we should have saw. So Doug Peterson gave him a shot to play, get experience. And here we are in year 3. He's in the Super Bowl, man. I'm so happy for him. I'm happy for that team too. AJ Brown coming from Tennessee to Philly, going to the bowl. Devontae was just in a national championship a couple of years ago. Now he's in the Super Bowl.
Kelsey was going to retire. Kelsey was supposed to retire this offseason. Nick Sirianni said, "Hey, I'll give you a keg of beer. What do you say?"
Nick Sirianni is just, he's just a guy where he doesn't really get the credit. Really, everybody talked about Dayball, deservingly so, Dayball and everybody else, but the Eagles were the best team all year consistently. When Jalen Hurts went out, that's when they kind of struggled. But outside of that, when Jalen Hurts was on the field, they were the best team in the league. So I'm not surprised that they're here.
Yeah, this game, I'm not gonna lie, I almost turned it off early. It was painful watching Hassan Reddick and McCaffrey just going off. It was not too much fun watching that. But to the point earlier about trying to get a little bit different after Purdy goes out, I thought they should have maybe done that like after seeing the first drive with Josh Johnson. It was obvious he wasn't doing too well out there and was struggling to find anything. So not completely take him out of the game, but try some more stuff. But yeah, after Purdy went down, it pretty much looked like it was over. And it sucks because, me and Connie said it for a while, this 49ers-Eagles matchup is what we've all been waiting for because they just both seemed, way better than everyone else in the NFC, like all year. It was those two. So we waited for it, and unfortunately we didn't get the juggernaut matchup we wanted. But I think even if Purdy's healthy, the way that defense was playing, I think Philly probably still comes out on top in that game. But, and Jalen Hurts too, like what you said earlier, CJ, how he just sat out all year too. In that championship game when Tua threw that touchdown, he was the first one to celebrate Tua. Like he sat out all year there too and kept his mouth shut, didn't say, hey, if Tua had a bad game, he didn't get angry. It was like, I should be out there. He was a pro's pro before he even got to the league. Like he was matured already, ready to be a pro. So that's why, I was also, when in his second year, when, he only started like 2 games his rookie year, it was like people were getting mad at him because he wasn't playing well. It's like he's kind of still a rookie. Like he hasn't played a full season yet. And now you see what happens when you get a full season under your belt, and this is the result. He was an MVP candidate, maybe wins it if he doesn't miss those couple games.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so great game by them. It's going to be interesting to see it. Hopefully next year, maybe San Francisco can figure out that quarterback situation. They're in a good, bad situation because it's good because you got 2 quarterbacks that could be a guy, but it's bad because now they both have serious injuries that they're going to come back from.
I think it's going to be Jimmy again.
It's Jimmy or Tom Brady, maybe. Who knows? We'll have to see what.
Hey,
what
or
goes on.
oh no, the Packers said they're not trading Rodgers to the NFC.
Yeah, if the package is good enough, they're trading him in the NFC.
I
don't
think
buy it.
probably right.
They could look at Brady. I think Brady should just, like I said on the last show we was on together, I was like, Brady should just call it, you know.
I don't know. If I'm Brady and I got a chance to go play for the Niners, I ain't calling nothing. I get to mess around with Debo, CMC, and Kittle. I mean, we know how much he loved Gronk. At least now he's got Kittle. Kittle might go off for 1,600 and 15 touchdowns, and then that defense on top of it. Stop. That would be, if I'm Brady. Hello, John Lynch.
Yeah,
is that you?
It's set up perfect for him because they're just cursed at the quarterback position. Their quarterbacks have just been made of glass. It's unfortunate. How do you get to your
fourth string quarterback?
Yeah, it should have been fifth, but Brock came in there. Yeah, like he came back in there. You should have been on your fifth starting quarterback during the season, and the fifth guy comes in there in the NFC Conference Championship game, bro.
No, nobody. I'm telling you, it does not happen to anybody else.
We didn't get our yearly Josh Johnson sighting in the regular season, though, so it kind of makes sense that he had to show up in the playoffs. He shows up somewhere every year, so we haven't seen him yet.
What is it? It's like his 13th season, like 12th different team.
Stays with the job in the bag, though.
It was flustered.
Stop it. Listen, if I would pay.
I'd be shocked if he's not a coordinator.
Right now.
I'd be shocked if he doesn't become a coordinator down the road.
Exposure he's had to so many different schemes and offenses, yeah, he's got to be something like that.
I'm telling you, right? I've said this before. There might be no better life in the world than a backup quarterback. I mean, listen, besides maybe the fact that like you love that sport and you're not technically good enough to actually be a starter, but hell, if you're telling me I can play for 15 years just watching on the sideline and collecting, the NFL minimum is probably like 800,000 as the veteran minimum.
So crazy.
Something like that. And, backup quarterbacks usually, sometimes making, $5 million a season if they're, whatever. I'd kill to be a backup quarterback. Listen, I can hold the clipboard with the best of them. Let me tell you something. And I play a lot of Madden. I can sit there and watch plays with the quarterback and be like, hey, X was open, man. I'm telling you. I mean, I know you're trying to fit it into Y there, but or take the check down, RB. I'm just telling you, RB, a little, kind of open there as well. But yeah, a little disappointing in the game itself because, like we said, we thought it was going to be a lot better. But hey, you can't always get what you want. And speaking of not getting what you want, the Bengals did not get the result that they wanted, as we'll move on to the Bengals and the Chiefs. Burrow had the Cincinnati mayor coming out and saying that he has to take a paternity test to find out who Mahomes' dad is, and a lot of trash talk going back and forth and this and that. You saw it after the game how, Kelsey was saying Burrow had my ass, and then he stole the Rock's line calling him a jabroni and everything like that, which, by the way, I know I'm in the minority here. Kelsey is such a tool. I like Jason Kelsey. Travis Kelsey, I think, is such a tool. And I also fully understand that if he was a player on my team, I would absolutely love everything he did. I fully accept that I'm a fraud on that.
Because Gronk's not a tool to you, right?
No, exactly. I love Gronk. Gronk's the guy. But see, that's my thing, too. I think he tries to be Gronk. But then again, he's being himself. But I fully admit I'm a fraud when it comes to that. Because if Kelsey was on my team talking about fight for your right to party, I'd be sitting there yelling it with him. So, whatever. I have my problems. I'm an idiot. What can I say? But, an interesting game here. I don't think it was as high-powered as a lot of us thought it would be. But then again, these games seem not to be, all of them have come down to a field goal. And then, you got into a big conversation here. NFL rigged is trending. A lot of interesting play calls by the referee, with the replay on third down, non-holding calls played. I think there was listen, even that Eli Apple pass interference or holding, I understand that it kind of was, but I don't know if I really liked it in that situation. I mean, I know, you got to call the game the same way you have all year. I don't even think it was that egregious, if I'm being honest with you. But whatever, they call it. And then, of course, the last play, which is where I kind of want to get to because, nothing crazy in this game. I think the Bengals were down 10 at one point. They came back. It's a tie game, 2020. Bengals get the ball with about 2 minutes left. And I really thought, all right, Bengals going to go down. They're going to, score here. I think they're going to win. And then obviously, I believe Burrow got sacked, made it like a 3rd and 16. Or no, there was an intentional grounding. There was a 3rd and 16. They ended up getting that, but then later on they couldn't convert. They have to punt the ball away, give the ball to the Chiefs, with I think only about 30 seconds left too. But by the way, that Bengals punter not very good in my eyes. Not a very good punter. Seemed like it seemed like everything was either like off the side of his foot or a line drive, giving the returner literally every opportunity to get as many yards as he could. Which interesting development, but line drive punt once again. The returner gets, I think, was it who? What was that?
Sky Moore.
It was Sky Moore. I didn't know if Tony was still doing it because Tony got hurt.
Yeah, he got hurt. Yeah, Sky
Tony
Moore,
got hurt. So Sky Moore gets it back to about the 50, and then I'm like, okay, well, Chiefs are going to win now. That's easy. And then there were a couple incompletions, and then it was, I believe, was it 3rd down on that play? Mahomes, scampers around, ends up getting the 1st down, I believe.
It was there, and then the extra yards, yeah.
And then Asai pushes him out of bounds, 15 yards. They end up kicking the field goal. Harrison Butker, I believe, was only like a 41-yard field goal. He makes it. Chiefs on their way to the Super Bowl. And listen, all I'll say is 2 things. And one of them is going to be harsh, and you guys are going to say that I'm being extra about it. The first one, NFL rigged thing, it's literally trending. People talking about it all the time. Do you understand how many people would have to be inside the NFL rigging things? And do you understand that, like, nobody can keep a secret ever? Like, you really think that the NFL could rig games? They would have to have the players in on it, technically, because if the players don't cooperate, how are they going to rig the game? They'd have to have the refs in on it. They'd have to have
holding calls, PI, holding.
Yeah, I guess.
Affected a lot.
But, I mean, you have to have people in the league office in on it. Like, calm down.
It's possible.
I think people are giving refs way too much credit and too much confidence in their ability to control a game like that. I don't think that even if the NFL tried to get them to do it, refs they're not doing that. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I mean, I guess we have seen in the NBA. We saw it in the NBA with the.
But that wasn't. I guess he was tipping people, but it wasn't rigged. Like,
what?
He was.
He got locked up, bro.
We're talking. No, he got locked up because of all the gambling and all the mob stuff he was involved in.
Right.
But
that's what I'm saying.
He was saying the league is telling us to make these calls. That's what he's telling people. He wasn't rigging games. He was telling people what the league tells them, which they can't tell other people because the league's telling the refs that.
I think
it's crazy that people think
that was rigged.
I'm not. Listen, I'm not going that far, but I think it's very possible it could be heavily influenced. Like you just talked about Tim Donahue right there. So it's very possible the way he called the game. This whole weekend we've been talking about officiating in the NBA and in the NFL. We have talking about the late.
It's terrible officiating, but it's not rigged. It's terrible officiating. That is a problem for sure.
I think if it was. Here's my main reason into thinking it's not rigged is the simple fact nobody can keep their mouth shut. There are way too many people that would have to know the NFL is rigged for it to actually get rigged, for it to happen. And you're telling me they kept everybody quiet? There is no way.
Yeah, I'm not saying like it's like completely set up. This is who we're gonna have win. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying
haven't made a Super Bowl in a long time. They'd probably have a couple rings by now if it was rigged.
That's
right. I'm just
Josh, I'm just saying. Best point you made in the history of this show.
I'm
120.
Right. I'm just saying, like, the way these officials, when they throw these flags, they pick and choose when they throw these flags. That plays a factor, bro. That plays a factor. It really does. Roughing the passer is that new flag, is that new call that everybody's looking at. You touch a quarterback the wrong way. If you land on him wrong, that flag is coming out.
Well, yeah, but that's also because the NFL told referees, like, hey, we got to stop having.
They actually did really good this game with
changing the game. Third and seven. They got that guy under center right now. They're trying to drive. They get that incompletion. If it looks like it's a little excessive at the end of the play, ref could throw that flag. See it all the time. You can't even challenge that. That's spooky.
I think they're going to change that this offseason. No, I definitely think you'll be able to challenge.
You can't even challenge. That's spooky, bro. You got freedom with the challenge. You got freedom, but more freedom than NBA coaches. But
absolutely.
It's like, if the referee makes a bad call, even after reviewing it, I should be able to challenge that. Like some Supreme Court. Like, you know what I mean?
I think the only reason that doesn't happen is because of the whole slippery slope thing of like, oh, well, then every single flag is going to be able to be reviewed and blah, blah, and like then the game is going to take 5 hours because we're going to review everything.
All right, so let's just say under 3 minutes.
I mean, I guess that's, well, I would say under 2 minutes because that's, when the booth does everything anyway. So, I guess, but sometimes the biggest moments in the game aren't under 2 minutes. That's the thing, What if there's 4 minutes left in the game in the fourth quarter, I'm down by a point, and on fourth down, they call me I'm up, and they're not in field goal range. They have to go for it on fourth down, and they call roughing the passer on me. Well, it's not inside 2 minutes. We can't challenge that. You know what I mean? So that's where the term almost kind of is half pregnant. Like, are you or are you not? Like, you either have to be able to do this or you have to be able to do that. Like, you can't have it like, okay, well, you can challenge in this situation, but not in this situation, because then you're gonna have something come up, like I just said, where there was 3 minutes and 1 second left. It's not in the 2 minute mark. So guess what? You can't challenge this play, and that just ended your season because now they can just knee it out the rest. So it's a challenging thing. Listen, I'm kind of with you though, CJ. I'm just playing devil's advocate to be an asshole like I normally am, because I find it so stupid that you can't challenge it. Oh, the game's gonna last 5 hours. Shut up. No, it is not, because you act like we're gonna challenge literally every single play. And here's the thing. Right. The NFL, to me, has the best challenge rule. You win both, you get another one. To me, if you want to be able to challenge flags, I think you get your 2. If you lose the first one and you win the second one, or you use your 2 challenges. Sorry, you have to win both. Right. But I think if you win both, you should get challenges until you lose one. In my eyes, because
see, I was with you for the first part, and then you added an extra part. I was like, whoa,
unlimited challenge.
That first part, I was like, yes, and then you unlimited.
But it's only until you get them wrong.
Nah, I'm cool with just plus. I'm good with a 2 right plus 1. Unlimited. Come on, bro.
Hey, if you can get 3 challenges right, though, I almost feel like you damn near deserve the 4th. And here's the thing too. And here's the other thing. Here's the other thing for the crowd that like, oh, it's going to take too long. How many times have we really seen coaches even use both challenges in the game?
Yeah, it's rare. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's rare. I'm just talking about how to use them. Like, that's what I mean. Like when to use it. When can you throw the flag? Because there's certain things you can't do. You can't throw the flag at.
I think you should be able to throw. I still think pass interference should be challengeable, but they're never going to do that again because they tried it already and everybody hated it. But I think pass interference and roughing the passer. Everything else is. I'm not trying to sit here and have like I guess I'm kind of arguing against my own thing now though. But like, a holding call on number 66 on the O line. Like, really, we're going to challenge that now? So I feel
See, I'm not talking about. Yeah, I'm talking about different type of certain other plays that that can alter the game. No, I'm saying if the ref gets the call wrong, I should be able to challenge that ref's decision and get a higher up look at what we're looking at. And if he usurps the official's decision, then that's what I'm talking about. What you're talking about, I agree. We don't disagree. But I'm saying if the ref gets the call wrong, right? Say they review it and then they say the call stands or it's overturned. I'm like, listen, I disagree. Let me challenge that. You know what I mean? Like I just have to accept
CJ,
that.
you know what I think? CJ, you know what I think it could be kind of for both of us, a happy medium? You know what I've loved in this playoff that I mean, I didn't see it this weekend, but in the first round, the expedited review was beautiful. I mean, there were a few times where it was like, okay, they're going to have to challenge this. And then like all of a sudden, you know, the official from up top would be like, oh, no, you guys got it wrong. Place the ball there instead. And it'd be like, okay, expedited review, this, blah, blah, blah. And like they fix things immediately. I almost feel like there should be an expedited review for flags like that, where it's, okay, they throw the flag and then, you know, you have a referee or somebody like a higher up, like you said, looking at the expedited review and being like, that was not a roughing the passer, buzz down to them, be like, that was not roughing the passer, pick the flag up, move them back. Like, I almost feel like that should be the thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it shouldn't even come to that. They should get it right away. That's why you have all these cameras. That's why you have this whole staff, a group of people that are watching it from, you know, a million different angles. I shouldn't even have to use that chat. But I'm saying we've seen certain situations where that's happened, where then after the fact, the referee, they come out on Twitter and be like, oh, you know what? Oops. Sorry, guys. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? So it's
and then you're like, well, that my bad does nothing for me. My team just lost. Like
exactly. So I mean, just having a little bit more control with that red flag, would probably be good.
You know, honestly, not even control for me either. I think one thing that I've still never understood in any of the leagues is why referees and umpires, whatever sport it is, never have to answer questions. Like if responsibility is a big thing, like no matter what you think of, like
they're not.
Right. I don't like athletes have to sit there and listen. That was honestly going to be my second point with Asai and everything. He had to sit there and, you know, take questions of like, you know, why did you do this? And, you know, what happened here, blah, 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 for a while, you know, sitting there after the game crying, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, he has to sit there and answer. Why does a referee who makes a terrible call in an important situation not have to answer any type of question? Or hey, listen, you get fined in the NFL for you know, unsportsmanlike conduct. If a referee has a terrible call, they should get fined.
Refs don't really. I think the reason the NFL probably doesn't want the refs having to answer questions is because they don't really have the media training. You know, they'll go out there and tell the truth or say whatever they want to say. I think they're probably more worried about that. But I agree. I think refs should, if it's such a crazy call that control, like the Saints-Rams pass interference that wasn't called, like that's a situation where it's like, all right, this guy's got somebody who should have thrown the flag there has got to answer to why it didn't happen.
Exactly. That has to be the way.
But to my second thing, before we went off on that tangent, which was beautiful, by the way. Listen, I probably am a bad person, but I'm telling you right now, I'm fighting to sign in that locker room. I know that the good teammate thing is to be like, oh, pick your head up, blah, blah, blah. I saw him crying on the sideline. I would say, good. I don't know what you were talking about. Bro.
You wouldn't do that, bro.
I promise you I would. CJ, I promise.
He would. That's Connie. That's Connie.
That's me. I'm telling you right now, if Josh did that, done co-hosting with me. I'd move on.
He made a mistake. He made a mistake. At the worst moment.
Season though, and to stop you from going to the Super Bowl potentially.
The Bengals had plenty of chances to win that game. The Chiefs gave the Bengals plenty of chances to win that game.
I completely understand that, but guess what? They lost the game because of that. And it doesn't come down.
They lost the game because they didn't take advantage of the opportunities. Mahomes threw the ball in the air and gave it to him at midfield. They had plenty of chances to go and get points.
Okay,
Plenty.
I understand. But that play directly lost them the game. Because right now, without that play, they have to I think they had 8 seconds left. They're not far enough to kick the field goal. So they have no timeouts left. You defend the sidelines, you make them throw it over the middle, and then it's like the Cowboys last year. They don't have enough time. You go into overtime. Listen, could they have lost in overtime? Of course. So, maybe it would have meant nothing anyway. But that play directly lost them the game because he gave them an extra 15 yards. And Mahomes was 2 steps out of bounds, and you already know that you can't even breathe on a quarterback anyway.
Right.
Like why would you even go near him? There was already somebody right next to you that would have been ready for the tackle. He's 2 steps out of bounds. You can't touch a quarterback as it is, and he hits him out of bounds.
Nobody's arguing it wasn't a bad or dumb play by him. It was obviously a terrible play. You can't do that.
I'm fighting him after the game, though. I'm telling you,
it was a low IQ play, definitely, no doubt about it. Nobody's defending that. But again, he made a mistake. Now I know you guys saw the video with the former player, with one of the teammates. He's like, "Yo, why did he touch him?" It's like
that would have been me, right? That would have been me.
Yeah.
Man.
Kind of got no empathy.
You got to pick him up, man. I mean, again, like you never know. You never know. You hope maybe they're in that situation next year again. He makes a big play, so you can't just like. You can't bring your brother down, but you can definitely keep your brother supportive, but still criticize. You know what I mean? That's how you're supposed to do it. That's how you're supposed to do it. If you're about a team, that's y'all preaching team. You know what I mean? You can't preach team and they be like, "Yo, why did you touch him?"
Right.
So that was kind of. I mean, listen, emotions ran high, so I get it. Emotions running high. It's the last game. It was a close game, so I understand that. And it's unfortunate. Cameras around everywhere, so you can't even really express yourself. You gotta wait till you're really in a secluded place with no cameras. It's tough. You gotta control it. I mean, it's a part of what you gotta do now as an adult in this world. But tough play on side, man. Feel for him. Hopefully, he can lock in next year. Be a beast. Change his narrative for his career. That'd be great.
Just any thoughts on the we'll probably wrap it up after this, but any thoughts on the game as a whole? Obviously, besides that play, I mean, I kind of gave a Spark Notes version of it, but any big thoughts, Josh and or CJ? Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I thought surprisingly the reason the Chiefs were in that game was because of their defense. Normally we're like that offense does whatever they have to do, scores as many points as they need to stay in every game. That wasn't the case here. All the receivers went down. Some guy with the last name, I don't even remember who 85 was. Never seen him on the field for the Chiefs before. That's how depleted they were at receiver with the Tony injury and the Hardman injury. So that defense, Frank Clark, Chris Jones had an amazing game. Was in there every play, and all the rookies stepped up too. I mean, Burrow. He threw in the first drive a pick right into McDuffie's hands that he dropped, and then wound up throwing 2 more interceptions. So that secondary stepped up even after Snead went down. But yeah, it was just a really good defensive game by them.
Yeah, it was a big defensive game by the Chiefs. They were able to get those turnovers on Burrow, and that's just something you can't do on the road. You can't turn the ball over, and especially against this team. But Cincinnati's defense is also very good. Holding the Chiefs, even though those guys were out, like Josh just talked about, but holding the Chiefs to 20 points, 23 points is no easy feat at all. That's a tough thing to do because you got Mahomes, you got 15 and 87, one of the greatest quarterback receiver duos we've ever seen in NFL history. So it's tough. It's tough to stop those guys. Cincinnati, they did a good job, but the offensive line for Cincinnati was really the problem. They just weren't able to protect Joe Burrow. He was really pressured in the beginning of the game.
4 times in the first quarter.
It's difficult. You're hearing footsteps. Chris Jones is having a postseason of his career right now. He didn't have a sack in the postseason until this season. So
until this game.
Until that game, exactly. Yes, exactly. Until that game. I think he had 2. He had 2 yesterday. So just he's playing well. He's always been great, making an impact. and they're going back to the Super Bowl. Mahomes was excellent, even with the not being 100% with the ankle. Was able to stay in the pocket, be surgical, be methodical, not take the risk that he sometimes may take if he had a little bit more mobility. He was more surgical, more Brady-esque. He was more Brady-esque in this game, not Rodgers or Favre-esque. He was more Brady-esque, and that's how you got to be in the playoffs. You got to be like Tom. That's what Tom did. Tom dinked and dunked. Whatever he got. If you want to say he dinked and dunked the 7 rings, and okay, no one's ever done it.
No, I'll take 7 every day of the week. I don't care how I got it.
If it was truly as just dinking and dunking to 7 chips, if it was truly that easy for the people to just say that, you know how many quarterbacks could dink and dunk down the field?
I always say that. If Tom is a system quarterback, why has nobody ever repeated the system?
Yeah. So that's what I mean. But yeah, Mahomes is on. He's on that way. He's on that way. He's slowly learning. He's getting better. He's gonna win MVP. And this is going to be a great Super Bowl. I think these were the favorites, 2 best teams in both conferences, Eagles and the Chiefs, pretty much all year. These were the 2 best teams in each conference all year. So I'm glad we were able to see the 2 best teams in the conference go at it in the Super Bowl. Hurts versus Mahomes. We're going to see if Hurts could revolutionize how we view the game of football, because he'll be, the true first. Well, I mean, like Russell Wilson was a dual threat, but what Hurts is doing, he'd be like he could continue to change the narrative on mobile quarterbacks and push that narrative. Look, you can win Super Bowls with mobile quarterbacks. You can. This is what you have to do. You need a lot of work. You need a complete team. But if you got the right guy, you can make it happen. So it's a lot on the line. Mahomes is chasing history, trying to get the Tom. Got a lot of work to do to get there, but I got a lot of time to get there too. But a lot of obstacles, quarterbacks in that conference. So, as he continues to get here, he has to capitalize on these moments. It's going to be a great game.
Well, listen, I think at the end of this show, which is right now, we'll tell you where we can find you, or we'll tell you where you can find us, and then. Why don't you give us your early Super Bowl pick? Obviously, next week we're going to break everything down, to a fine powder before the game. But listen, you can find me on Twitter, Anthony Conover _ You can then go to my link tree, find out everything I'm doing. And I think the Eagles win. Josh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I don't know. Somebody speak.
All right, follow me on Twitter at Jolin_4. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Doubted Views and Generational Sports. You can watch us here every Monday. And head over to Underdog. Use code GenZ, double your first deposit up to $100. And right now, with the health concerns, I'll go with Philly also.
Wow. Yes. Linktree, CJames9. Everything that I'm working on. MNC Hoops is the new name that we got for Michael, Nick, and myself, covering all things all basketball, NBA, college, WNBA as well a little bit. So make sure to follow us to be on Sundays on the Doubted Views YouTube channel, 9 p.m. Eastern. So make sure to check us out. Thank you guys for having me, man. It's been a pleasure.
Of course. CJ, who you got?
I'm a roll with Philly.
Okay. Hey, listen, clean sweep. We'll break it down more next week. But hey, until then, we'll catch you on the next one. All right?